morning. All right. Hi, everybody. Let's get the party started here. Hey, it's 9 o'clock in the morning on a beautiful day in the most beautiful part of America's finest city. Now, on a sunny day like this, we could go surfing at the beach. We could be in the world's greatest zoo. But you've all decided to do what I love to do, head into a dark room and talk about Shakespeare. So coffee it up, everybody. Coffee it the hell up. All right, I'm going to start day 2 of this remarkable festival with 3 big ideas: Shakespeare, empathy, and community. And I'm going to bring them together by offering you 3 lines of Shakespeare and 1 line from someone I call the anti-Shakespeare. The first line of Shakespeare comes from a play called The Tempest. It starts on a ship at sea in the middle of a big storm. The tempest of the title. It's a hurricane. The waves are crashing against the ship. The wind is blowing. Lightning is striking. And the ship is breaking apart. The men on the deck are screaming, "We split! We split!" And the ship sinks. Cut to scene 2. There's a teenage girl on the shore of an island nearby. She's been watching this catastrophe, standing with her father, and she's harrowed and heartbroken by the loss of life that she's witnessing. And she says this line, "Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer." Say it with me. "Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer." That is Shakespeare's greatest statement of empathy. We see another person in pain, and we feel their pain. We see the emotion in the subjective experience of someone else, and we can relate to it. That's empathy. "Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer." Now, the word empathy came into the English language in the 19th century, and it meant something a little different than it means today. Originally, empathy was very specifically the power of a human being to feel the emotion depicted in a work of art. So empathy was not about feeling the pain of another human. It was about feeling the pain in an artistic representation of a human. Empathy and art have gone together since the beginning. Now, I run the Old Globe. It's about 200 yards from here. 90 years old this year. It's the largest institutional theater company outside of New York in the United States. We have 3 theaters. We do musicals. 27 of them have gone to Broadway. We do new plays. We do classics. And we do an awful lot of Shakespeare. And as the head of the Old Globe, what I know is that of all the art forms that create empathy, the theater does it better than any other. Why? Because we can look at a painting of a person in pain, and it's canvas and it's paint. We can look at a sculpture of a human experience. It's made of marble. But only in the theater is live human experience happening right in front of us. We're looking at a human being right in the room we're in, breathing, sweating, speaking, and feeling the emotion that we then feel. Here's the last scene of Othello. That's Blair Underwood and Kristen Connolly in a production I directed a few years ago. The last scene of Othello are the 10 most harrowing minutes in all of Shakespeare, maybe the 10 most harrowing minutes in all of Western dramatic literature, right? And we watch this man howling with his dead wife in his arms, and for that moment, we feel the agony that he and that she have gone through, because the theater is an engine of empathy. The theater is an engine of empathy. So that brings me to the anti-Shakespeare. A couple months ago, we heard somebody say this: the fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. That's Elon Musk talking to Joe Rogan, a plague on both their houses. The fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. It's a call to shut off empathy. What happens if we shut off empathy? What happens if we decide we don't want to feel the pain of others anymore? That's dehumanizing. And we know that dehumanization is the first step toward violence, persecution, all kinds of horrible things. And we're hearing a major national figure call for empathy as a weakness to be abolished. Now look, Senator Cory Booker in his 25-hour speech stood on the Senate floor last week. He said that America is suffering a poverty of empathy, and no doubt he had Musk in mind. So for somebody who does what I do, what do we do to turn that poverty of empathy into a surplus of empathy? How do we answer Elon Musk? And here's what I say. There's no problem in human civilization that can't be made a little bit better by having some Shakespeare thrown at it. Turn on the engine of empathy. Turn on the engine of empathy and get to the theater. So here's my second line of Shakespeare. Join we together for the public good. Come on. Say it. Join we together for the public good. So here's how the Old Globe thinks about theater as a public good. We have a program called Arts Engagement, funded generously by the Prebys Foundation. God bless you, Grant. Right? And what we do is we have 14 programs that take participatory theater-making experiences out to communities all over San Diego. We send professional theater out too, but 14 programs that make people write plays, act in plays, job training programs, work in technical theater. And we serve about 25,000 people in 50 community-based organizations all over San Diego. We're in homeless shelters, senior centers, refugee organizations, LGBTQ youth. We're in a library system, we're in the school system, and the Old Globe has the country's largest program of theater with incarcerated populations. Right now on our staff, professional staff are 4 people that we met for the first time in our Shakespeare programs at Sentinella State Prison in Imperial County. And when they got out, they came to work at the Globe. Now, all of this work that we do is centered on Shakespeare. Why? Because Shakespeare is a passport to civic participation. Shakespeare is still in every high school curriculum in the United States. Shakespeare is still at the heart of our English language. Shakespeare's stories are still the fundamental myths of our storytelling. But at the Globe, we know that Shakespeare has a second superpower. I made a podcast called Where There's a Will, Finding Shakespeare, 8 episodes. Listen to it, please. I spent a year traveling around the United States, finding out where Shakespeare shows up in American culture other than in the theater. And I found Shakespeare in prisons. I found Shakespeare in the autism community. Autistic kids who have a hard time communicating find the iambic pentameter a way of expressing themselves. I found Shakespeare in religious observance, in Buddhist temples and in synagogues. I found Shakespeare in American political speech going back to the beginning of our country all the way till now. Shakespeare is a hub that gathers community. All those communities in that circle that have nothing to do with each other can find a connection when they come together in Shakespeare. Shakespeare is a hub of community. So last summer, the Globe put these 2 ideas to a test. Shakespeare is an engine of empathy, and Shakespeare is a hub for community. We did a play called Henry VI, a 2-part adaptation of 3 English history plays that I directed. And it was a professional production of Shakespeare, but a year before we started rehearsal, we sent teams out to our community-based partners around San Diego, just to regular folks. We did workshops on costume design and set design. We did workshops on lighting design. We did workshops on singing and music, workshops on stage combat, workshops on acting. And then we filmed 250 people acting some Shakespeare, and we projected them onto the stage in the middle of this professional production. We used our community to help us make a professional production of Shakespeare. By the end, 1,000 people had directly participated in the making of this show. 4,000 people participated in an art-making project on our plaza before the show started. 25,000 people bought tickets. 30,000 San Diegans experienced empathy and community through Shakespeare. And at the end, the LA Times said, "This is what Shakespeare for the people really looks like." So that brings me to my final Shakespeare quote for the morning. Much virtue in if. Everybody? Much virtue in if. It means that if is a good word. What if we could bring Shakespeare to the community? What if we could actually create some empathy in our city? Yesterday was a day about if. I met scientists who found organic compounds in coral and said, what if we could use that to treat cancer? We heard Pradeep say that the way to make education accessible is through affordable housing. So he said, what if I could build 6,000 housing units on my campus? If is the beginning of imagination. If is the beginning of creativity. If is the beginning of discovery. And Shakespeare says that there is virtue in the idea. That is, it is a moral good. It is a moral good to use our imagination. So I say, what if we threw some Shakespeare at Elon effing Musk? We don't have his billions. We don't have the federal government. We don't have X. But I've got 650 seats in one theater and 600 in another, 250 in another. So what if, one seat at a time, one night at a time, one story at a time, one person at a time, what if we make some empathy? Hey, Elon, what if empathy is not our weakness? What if empathy is our strength? Much virtue in if.